Los Angeles, California, West Hollywood, a private training facility on Sunset Boulevard. September 1995. Thursday evening, 7:15 p.m. The air carries the smell of canvas mats and liniment oil, exposed brick walls, industrial lighting. This is where professional fighters train away from cameras, a place where reputation is tested quietly. 8 people are present: personal trainers, stunt coordinators, a Muay Thai instructor, a Wing Chun Sifu. The 8th is a mutual friend who arranged this meeting, believing something significant could happen. Jean-Claude Van Damme stands near the center of the mat. He is 34 years old, at the peak of his physical condition. 6 feet tall, 195 pounds of muscle sculpted through decades of training. Before Hollywood, he was a fighter. Belgian National Karate Champion. European Professional Karate League competitor. Tournament record: 44 wins, 4 losses, 18 knockouts. Verified competition results: he wears black training pants and a gray tank top. He stretches slowly, working through splits that demonstrate impossible flexibility. One trainer comments quietly that Van Damme's warm-up would hospitalize most professional athletes. Across the mat stands Jet Li. He is 32 years old, 5 feet 6 inches tall, 135 pounds. He wears simple black training clothes, loose-fitting pants, and a traditional kung fu shirt. Nothing about his appearance suggests he is one of the most accomplished martial artists of his generation. But these people know who he is. Jet Li began training in Wushu at the Beijing Wushu Academy at age 8. By 12, he had won his first national championship. He would win the Chinese National Wushu Championship 5 consecutive times, an achievement never replicated. His speed was measured by sports scientists trying to understand how his techniques generated such velocity. After competition, he transitioned to film, but his foundation was combat-tested, competition-verified skill. The mutual friend stands between them. He is nervous. He has trained with both men and respects them deeply. But he has seen how egos can turn demonstrations into confrontations. He chose this private facility because there are no cameras, no media, just martial artists, just technique. Van Damme speaks first. His English carries a heavy Belgian accent, but his words are clear and direct. "I've heard about you for years. People say you're fast. People say Chinese martial arts have secrets that Western fighting doesn't understand. I respect that. But I come from full-contact competition, real fighting, not forms, not demonstrations. Actual combat where if you make a mistake, you get knocked out. I want to see if what they say about you is real." Jet Li listens quietly. He does not react defensively. He does not posture. He simply nods once, acknowledging the statement. When he speaks, his English is accented but functional. "I understand. You want to test philosophy, Western method against Eastern method, hard against soft, direct power against redirection. This is fair, but we should be clear. This is not competition. This is demonstration. We show each other our approach. We learn from difference." Van Damme smiles, but there is intensity behind it. Sure, demonstration, but real demonstration, real speed, real technique, not movie choreography, not pulled punches. If we're going to do this, we do it properly. The people watching exchange glances. This is starting to feel more serious than expected. One of the stunt coordinators considers stepping in, suggesting they keep it light, keep it safe. But before he can speak, Jet Li responds. "Agreed. Real technique, full commitment. But we establish one rule: no strikes to the face or head. Control only. The purpose is not to hurt. The purpose is to understand." Van Damme nods. "Fair enough. Control to the body. Let's see what happens." They move to the center of the mat. The 8 witnesses position themselves along the walls, giving them space. The industrial lights create sharp shadows on the canvas floor. The room has gone completely silent except for the hum of the ventilation system. Both men take their stances. Van Damme settles into a fighting posture immediately recognizable to anyone familiar with kickboxing. Weight evenly distributed, hands up, lead leg chambered and ready. His stance is mobile, bouncing lightly, maintaining constant readiness. This is the stance of someone who has fought full contact, where hesitation means getting hit. Jet Li stands differently. His stance is higher, more relaxed. Feet shoulder-width apart, knees slightly bent, no obvious tension. His hands are raised but open, fingers loose. To someone trained in Western combat sports, his stance looks vulnerable. But the Wing Chun instructor recognizes it immediately. This is a listening stance, designed to respond to incoming energy. The mutual friend who arranged the meeting looks at both men one final time. "You're both sure about this?" Both nod. "Then begin when ready." What happened next became the subject of quiet discussion among those 8 witnesses for years afterward, though none of them ever spoke about it publicly, respecting the private nature of what they observed. Van Damme moves first, testing. He throws a jab, fast, real speed, the kind that has started knockouts. Jet Li's head moves 3 inches. The punch passes through empty space. Van Damme follows with a low kick. Jet Li lifts his foot. The kick passes beneath, then sets it back down. Van Damme resets. Both techniques were real probing strikes, evaded with minimal movement, economical, precise. He increases pressure. Jab, cross, low kick, flowing together in practiced sequence. Jet Li steps toward the combination, angling his body so punches slide past by inches. His hands make brief contact with Van Damme's arms, not striking, just redirecting. The low kick comes. Jet Li's leg meets it shin to shin, but with yielding contact that dissipates force. The witnesses are beginning to understand they are seeing something unusual. Van Damme is throwing technically perfect strikes that have knocked out trained fighters, but none are landing cleanly, and Jet Li is not counterattacking, just responding, adjusting, redirecting. But the real moment, the one that everyone in that room would remember most clearly, had not yet occurred. Van Damme steps back, breathing slightly harder. Not from exhaustion, but from mental effort trying to understand what is happening. His techniques land where Jet Li was, not where he is. He decides to commit fully, to throw a technique that cannot be simply evaded. He chambers his rear leg, loading full power into a single strike. A roundhouse kick aimed at Jet Li's midsection, not testing. Full power, competition speed, the kind that has broken ribs and ended matches. The kind measured at over 1,000 pounds of impact force. His leg extends with devastating speed. The air displacement is audible to everyone watching. What happened in the next second is something those present struggled to describe accurately even years later. According to the stunt coordinators who had worked with hundreds of martial artists, what they saw defied their understanding of body mechanics. Jet Li did not block the kick. He did not evade the kick. Instead, his hands moved toward it, both palms open, moving with a speed that seemed to match the incoming kick. At the exact moment, Van Damme's shin would have made impact with Jet Li's ribs. Jet Li's hands made contact with the kick. Not with force, not with resistance, but with guidance. His right hand touched the top of Van Damme's shin, near the knee. His left hand touched the bottom of Van Damme's calf, near the ankle, and in a movement that appeared effortless, he redirected the entire trajectory of the kick, not stopping it, not absorbing its power, simply changing its direction. Van Damme's kick, which had been aimed at Jet Li's center mass, was guided past Jet Li's body, redirected upward and to the side. The full force of the kick traveled through empty air, but the redirection did something else. It used Van Damme's own momentum against his balance. By guiding the kick higher and further than Van Damme had intended, Jet Li had shifted Van Damme's center of gravity beyond its stable point. Van Damme's supporting leg, which had been planted firmly on the mat, suddenly had to compensate for unexpected rotation. For just a moment, less than 2 seconds, Van Damme was off balance. Not falling, not dropped, just unstable. And in that moment of instability, Jet Li's hand, which had been guiding the kick, continued its motion and came to rest gently against Van Damme's chest. Not a push, not a strike, just a touch, a placement, a demonstration of position. The message was clear without words. At this moment, if this were actual combat, the placement could have been a strike. But it was not. It was control. It was demonstration of principle. Van Damme felt it immediately. The complete loss of his own power. The realization that his strongest technique had been turned into the instrument of his own imbalance. He landed back on both feet and stood there processing what had occurred. The room remained silent. The witnesses were trying to understand the mechanics, the timing, the precision required to intercept a full-power roundhouse kick and redirect it without absorbing impact, simply guiding it away using the attacker's momentum. Van Damme looked at Jet Li. His expression had changed. The testing attitude was gone. The competitive edge was gone. What replaced it was something different. Recognition, respect, and genuine curiosity. What was that? His voice was quiet, meant only for Jet Li to hear. Jet Li responded in the same quiet tone. That was the principle of borrowing force. You generated power. I did not oppose it. I redirected it. Your strength became your imbalance. This is the difference between hard and soft method. You train to generate maximum force. I train to use opponent's force. Both are valid. Both are real martial arts. Just different philosophy. Van Damme nodded slowly. He had spent his life training to hit harder, kick faster, generate more power. He had built his fighting system on overwhelming opponents with superior technique and conditioning. And in a single exchange, he had encountered something his training had not prepared him for. Not superior power, not superior speed, but a completely different approach that turned his strength into a disadvantage. He extended his hand. Jet Li took it. They shook, and Van Damme spoke again, this time loud enough for everyone in the room to hear. I've fought professional fighters all over Europe. I've trained with some of the best martial artists in the world, but I've never experienced anything like that. That's not the martial arts I know. That's something else, something deeper. Jet Li smiled slightly. You have excellent technique, excellent power, excellent speed. Your training is real, but maybe there is value in learning both approaches, hard and soft, force and redirection. This is what Bruce Lee taught. Take what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own. The two men spoke quietly for another 10 minutes, exchanging questions about training methods, philosophical approaches, and practical applications. The witnesses recognized they had observed something rare, not a fight, not a competition, but a genuine exchange between two masters of different systems. According to those who were present that evening, both Van Damme and Jet Li requested that no photographs be taken, no recordings made, and no public discussion of what had occurred. They wanted the meeting to remain private, personal, a moment of mutual respect between practitioners. The witnesses honored that request. For years, the story remained known only to those 8 people. Van Damme would later speak in interviews about his respect for traditional Chinese martial arts, though he never mentioned that specific evening. Jet Li would continue to emphasize the importance of mutual respect between different systems, the idea that every style has value, and that true mastery comes from understanding principles rather than memorizing techniques. September 1995, West Hollywood. 8 witnesses. One moment that lasted less than 2 seconds. one roundhouse kick redirected, and two martial artists who understood that the world of combat is more complex than any single system can encompass. The training hall was locked that night at 9:30 p.m. The 8 people who gathered there left quietly, separately, carrying the memory of what they had seen. They would speak about it occasionally in private conversations, always carefully, always respectfully. Because some moments are not meant for public consumption. Some encounters exist simply to remind us that mastery takes many forms, and that the deadliest mistake a martial artist can make is believing their way is the only way.